I peered through the curtains of my living room window, trying to catch a glimpse of my new neighbor. Ever since they moved in next door, there had been an eerie feeling in the air. The neighborhood had always been quiet, but something about them gave me a sense of unease. One evening, as the sun set and darkness crept in, I heard a shuffling noise coming from their backyard. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to investigate. Stepping outside, the chilly air sent shivers down my spine. I made my way towards the fence that separated our properties, and suddenly a low growl echoed from the other side. Fear crept up my back as the growl turned into a bone-chilling snarl. My heart pounded in my chest as I backed away, realizing that my new neighbor had a menacing guard dog. Days turned into weeks, and a strange tension settled between us. The dog would bark relentlessly at night, its piercing sound tearing through the silence. Sleep became a luxury as the relentless barking echoed through the walls of my home. Nights turned into a battle for tranquility, and my nerves began to fray. One night, unable to sleep, I decided to confront my neighbor about the incessant barking. As I approached their front door, the sound of glass shattering pierced the silence. I froze in fear, my hand inches away from knocking on the door. Something wasn't right. I took a step back, wanting to escape the looming danger lurking inside their house. It was then that I noticed movement in their living room window. The figure of a person, dressed in dark clothing, briefly appeared before vanishing into the shadows. Panic consumed me as I realized that my neighbor wasn't who they seemed to be. The barking of the dog had served as a distraction from something much more sinister. I decided to contact the authorities, sharing my concerns about my neighbor's suspicious activity. That's when I learned the horrifying truth. My neighbor was not only involved in illegal activities, but had a history of violent behavior. The police discovered evidence of criminal involvement, and the neighbor was swiftly arrested. However, the nightmare was not over. In the aftermath, whispers circulated about the dark secrets that lay hidden within the neighbor's home. Rumors of a hidden basement, where victims had once been held captive, sent shivers down our spines. The eerie feeling that had settled in the neighborhood now had a tangible explanation. Months went by, but the chilling memories of my terrifying neighbor lingered. The house remained empty, a constant reminder of the horrors that had unfolded next door. The once peaceful neighborhood now carried an air of apprehension. It served as a constant reminder that danger could lurk behind the walls of any seemingly ordinary house. To this day, the memory of that neighbor and their menacing guard dog haunts me. The experience taught me to trust my instincts and to remain vigilant. We never truly know what darkness lies behind the doors of those we call neighbors, hiding in the shadows, waiting to reveal itself at the most unexpected moments. I always thought I had a tight-knit community, full of friendly faces and warm greetings. That is, until the new neighbors moved in across the street. From the moment they arrived, a chilling atmosphere seemed to envelop the entire neighborhood. It was as if a shadow had been cast over our once cheerful corner of the world. It started innocently enough. I would spot them occasionally as I glanced out my window, lurking in the shadows of their dimly lit house. Their faces, hidden beneath a veil of secrecy, felt like an ominous warning. Despite my uneasiness, I tried to convince myself that I was just being paranoid, that it was simply an adjustment period for them. But then, the late-night noises began. Every night, like clockwork, I would be jolted awake by the sound of heavy thuds and muffled cries. It was as if someone or something was being dragged across their creaky wooden floors, desperately attempting to escape. Fear etched its way into every fiber of my being. I couldn't ignore it any longer. One evening, unable to bear the torment of my imagination, I mustered the courage to confront my ominous neighbor. I hesitantly approached their front door, my heart racing with each step. Just as I was about to knock, the door swung open, void of any human presence. Cold air washed over me, prickling my skin and sending a shiver down my spine. I took a tentative step forward, peering inside. Darkness consumed the interior, the only light emanating from a flickering candle in the distance. The atmosphere whispered of secrets and hidden horrors that lurked within. A voice inside my head screamed at me to leave, to run. But a morbid curiosity held me in place. With each passing day, the neighbors' behavior grew even more sinister. Sudden disappearances of local pets left the neighborhood in a state of collective terror. The once vibrant gardens now bare and lifeless, as if touched by an otherworldly force. We became prisoners in our own homes, afraid to venture out after the sun set, afraid of what lurked just beyond our doors. One fateful night, I awoke to the sound of a blood-curdling scream that seemed to echo through the depths of my soul. A chill ran down my spine as I scrambled to the window, the glowing moon casting an eerie light over the scene that unfolded next door. I watched in horror as figures, cloaked in darkness, vanished one by one inside their house, carrying something too large to comprehend. With trembling hands, I contacted the authorities, sharing the chilling details of what I had witnessed. But when they arrived, they found no trace of my terrifying neighbors. Just an empty house, void of any evidence or signs of their existence. It was as if they had never existed, as if the horrors I had witnessed were nothing more than a fever dream. To this day, the memory of my terrifying neighbors haunts me. The unanswered questions and lingering fear follow me like a shadow, a constant reminder that the line between reality and nightmare can blur within the confines of a seemingly quiet neighborhood. And as I peer through my window into the darkness, I can't help but wonder if the horrors that unfolded were truly just a figment of my imagination, or something far more sinister. I never thought that moving into a picture-perfect suburban neighborhood could turn into a living nightmare. Our neighbors seemed friendly enough at first, with their perfect lawns and charming smiles. But as the days turned into weeks, I began to notice something unsettling about the man next door. He would often stand outside in his yard, staring blankly at nothing in particular. His eyes had a vacant look, devoid of emotion or life. It sent shivers down my spine each time I caught a glimpse of his haunting gaze. I reasoned that maybe he was just introverted, keeping to himself. But there was something deeper, something deeply unsettling about him. Late one evening, as darkness wrapped its tendrils around our peaceful neighborhood, I heard a strange noise coming from next door. It was a mixture of scratching and scraping, an unsettling sound that grated against my nerves. Curiosity got the better of me, and I peered through the blinds of my living room window, straining to see what was happening. To my horror, I witnessed my neighbor digging in his backyard, frantically burying something. Sweat dripped down his forehead, and his hands shook unnaturally as he worked. Fear gripped me, my mind racing with ominous thoughts of what he could be hiding beneath the moonlit soil. This inexplicable scene haunted my dreams, taunting my sanity. Days turned into weeks, and the feeling of unease grew stronger. Strange occurrences started to happen in the neighborhood. Pets went missing without a trace, vanishing into thin air. Whispers echoed in the quiet streets, telling tales of strange, unexplainable phenomena. The air was heavy with an unsettling energy, as if something sinister had infiltrated our once peaceful enclave. One evening, unable to ignore the mounting dread, I decided to investigate further. Under the cover of darkness, I ventured into my neighbor's backyard, heart pounding in my chest. As I approached the spot where he had been digging, I discovered a hidden cellar door, half covered by leaves and debris. Fear washed over me, but my curiosity compelled me to descend into the depths below. The air inside the cellar was thick and suffocating. The stench of decay gnawed at my senses, and a sickening dread settled in the pit of my stomach. As I turned on my flashlight, the beam revealed a gruesome sight. Cages lined the walls, and within them, I glimpsed the emaciated figures of trapped souls. Their haunting eyes looked back at me, pleading for release. Before I could react, a door at the far end of the cellar swung open, revealing my neighbor standing in the darkness. His vacant eyes had turned feral and filled with a twisted madness. In that moment, I knew the true nature of his horrifying secret. He was not just a man. He was a monster, capturing innocent lives to fulfill his sadistic fantasies. A surge of adrenaline fueled my desperate escape. I sprinted towards the exit, heart pounding in my ears. As I burst out into the night air, I noticed the familiar glow of police sirens approaching. Someone had called for help, and they had arrived just in time to save me from the clutches of my terrifying neighbor. But the nightmare didn't end there. The revelations of the hidden cellar and the true nature of the man next door stunned the community. Our sense of security shattered, forever tainted by the horrors that unfolded within our seemingly idyllic neighborhood. The wounds healed over time, but scars remained, serving as a permanent reminder that evil can lurk in even the most unsuspecting corners of the world.